They stole from the sick. She struck back with code. Mac's revenge didn't just make headlines, it rewrote the hospital's history forever. Welcome to The Fallout Zone.
I spent 30 years at St. Vincent's, first strapped into an ambulance bench, later tucked between humming server racks. I swapped trauma shears for terminal windows, but the oath felt the same: keep people alive. That oath cracked the day I saw the code. I was patching a race condition in the billing module when a cluster of adjustments caught my eye. Harmless labels, ugly math. The rules only fired for uninsured patients, most from the same zip codes where I learned to parallel park and dodge sirens. Black neighborhoods, low-income families, a 20% inflation here, a late fee there, triggered within days. It wore a lab coat, but it was theft. I printed logs, scrubbed identifiers, and climbed the chain. My supervisor smiled the way people do when a fire alarm is probably a test. Legal said my interpretation was emotional. Regulators wanted forms I'd already sent. A reporter ghosted after talking to her editor. Even my pastor asked me to be patient. Meanwhile, a grandmother was paying $400 for a $40 inhaler. The firing came like a pulled plug, restructuring. My badge died at the turnstile. Overnight, I was radioactive. Colleagues stopped replying to texts. Recruiters lost my resume. The message was obvious: sit down, be quiet, disappear. Months later, a ransomware crew hit the hospital. Chaos. Printers choked. Phones looped. Billing froze. While admin brawled with the ransom note, I remembered a forgotten integration node, an old vendor portal that never made it into the decommission schedule. My credentials were long dead, but a single-use service account wasn't. The CFO's office had slipped me that key weeks earlier in a corrupted attachment. I hadn't understood why he'd help, until later. I masked my trail, slid through the side door, and swapped the billing database image. I didn't erase it, I replaced it with a mirror that reflected the truth. Thousands of anonymized patient stories, hashed MRNs, scrubbed PHI, line-by-line references to the functions that turned poverty into profit. Every entry linked evidence, dates, and the commit fingerprints that authored the cheat. Then I set a timer. The city council was holding a televised hearing on hospital funding. When their screens switched to my payload, the room inhaled at once. Testimony crawled across the projectors. Charged $1,200 for stitches. Collection threats after 7 days. Beneath each story, the source line that triggered it, the murder weapon, still warm. The CEO called it a malfunction. A councilwoman shot back, then why does it only malfunction on uninsured people in 3 zip codes? Reporters finally remembered how to dial my number. They arrested me within days. The cuffs were cold, but the detectives were colder, convinced I'd ridden the ransomware wave to settle a score. For a minute, I saw the rest of my life in grayscale concrete. Then the case started to leak. The gang's intrusion wrecked the chain of custody. Warrants were sloppy. My laptop seizure fell outside the scope. The charges folded like a bad tent. That's when the twist walked in. One of the anonymized stories, an asthma patient who'd stopped seeking care after a $900 ER visit, was the estranged son of the CFO. He'd learned about the overcharging when his kid texted him a screenshot of a bill he couldn't pay. The CFO couldn't move the board, he couldn't blow the whistle without detonating his own career, so he did the only thing he could live with. He passed me the key and prayed I'd aim true. I live off-grid now. Solar panels, rain tanks, a router that sleeps when I do. I mentor coders from the same blocks the hospital targeted and teach them the first rule. Historian, your talent isn't neutral. If you don't choose what it serves, someone greedy will. Do I regret it? Not for a heartbeat. I used to save lives one siren at a time. Now I save them in batches, and I sign my commits with my conscience. The night after the hearing, neighbors I hadn't met left casseroles on my porch and sticky notes on my mailbox. For my mom's bill, for my brother's stitches. I answered none of the calls, just listened to the city relearn its heartbeat. The hospital announced a review. Federal investigators called it what it was: People ask if I'm scared. Of course. I sleep light. I use cash. I park facing out. But fear is a tax you pay on a better future, and I've paid worse. Here's what matters. The billing rules are disabled, refunds are flowing, and the next coder I mentor won't have to ask whether justice belongs in the job description. It does. It always did.
Thank you for watching The Fallout Zone. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.